Why the two of them can never agree, 'cause they're not built that way. It's true there is no effect without a cause. A woman can never come under a clause, and she never gives a reason for wagging her jaws, 'cause she ain't built that way.
HBR Talk with Hannah Wallen. Beer-drinking regular gal presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren is really miffed at Democratic Socialist and totally not socialist with a capital S presidential candidate Bernie Sanders. She is so incensed she had to approach him after a moment of conflict on the debate stage last week to give him a piece of her mind. "You called me a liar on national television," she spat at him as cameras rolled and a hot mic just happened to pick up their conversation. "You called me a liar," her unhappy target responded, before amending his statement with, "Let's not do this right now." What had these candidates so triggered? The moderator had told Sanders that CNN had reported that Warren claimed he told her in a 2018 meeting that a woman couldn't win the presidency, and asked him why he said that. Sanders replied that he hadn't said it, that anyone who knows him knows he wouldn't say it, then referenced a video that shows him saying, long before this conflict, exactly the opposite. Immediately after, the moderator turned to Warren and, ignoring Sanders' answer, asked her how she had answered him when he said a woman couldn't win the presidency, and she answered by describing her side of a conversation he says never happened. Cue feminist outrage and Bernie supporter outrage, stage left and even further left. And it's getting hard to tell the difference, guys. Hashtag CNN is trash trended on Twitter, fueled by Bernie supporter objections to the moderator's casual dismissal of their candidate's assertions about his own history, bolstered by conservatives chiming in with a lot of "we told you so" comments. Meanwhile, feminist media trotted out all of their old arguments from the failed Hillary campaign about why criticizing female candidates is sexist. On social media, the feminist narrative was that Warren had told, quote, her truth, and that contradicting her claims regarding her meeting with Sanders is, again, sexist. And anyway, the question of a female candidate's ability to win the presidency is itself sexist. That's how it works, you see. Regardless of what the facts are, a woman's assertion is always legitimate. Therefore, even if it's not the truth, it has to be recognized as a truth. And it's not sexist to demand you call it truth, regardless of the facts, just because she's female. It's not sexist to describe one's sex as a qualification for public office, as Hillary Clinton's supporters did, as long as that sex is female. And it's not sexist to portray a candidate as unappealing to just one sex, as Trump's opponents did during that same election, as long as it's women's judgment that is being wielded as a bludgeon against a male candidate's reputation. It's only sexist to question whether a female candidate's electability might be affected by the public's attitude toward her sex, because female candidates totally never use that as their excuse after election losses, ever. Except Hillary. Oh, and it's absolutely sexist to not take a woman's side when she's arguing with a man about what he did or did not say, even if she's lied about a bunch of other things, because it's always sexist to call a woman a liar. Always. These attitudes are not surprising considering there's an annual protest march now that has similar origins. In 2016, feminist women were terribly, horribly, awfully offended that a rich man could confide to another man in the crudest of terms about how aware he is that some women are celebrity chasers and gold diggers, and not later have his presidential candidacy destroyed by public outrage over that observation. So they made silly hats out of pink yarn and wrote inflammatory things on poster board and showed how privileged they are to be able to take the day off from work to whine about it in public. On its official website, the organization behind the event attributes sexism as the underlying cause behind pretty much every position at the socialist end of the Democratic Party platform, including disability rights, immigration, and environmental issues. Everything bad is sexist if women aren't uniquely exempt from its effects, right? Therefore, anytime a condition or circumstance is objectionable, women's experience of it is evidence of sexism, right? Except it's not. Sexism is unfair treatment on the basis of sex, or double standards depending on sex. A condition or circumstance that affects both sexes is a genderless problem. We all live on the same planet, for instance, so environmental causes really shouldn't be presented as a gender issue. Both sexes immigrate, and both sexes can be disabled. A negative judgment of an individual woman is not an inherently sexist thing either. A person who lies is a liar, regardless of their sex. Distrusting a known liar's word doesn't magically become sexist if she's female. It's the other way around, in fact. It's sexist to base one's judgment of a condition or circumstance that affects everyone it touches as if only its relationship to women matters. It's sexist to think being female makes a person's word unquestionable, especially if thinking that requires you to presume a man's word disposable. It's sexist to think that being male makes a person's distrust of public attitudes into an attack on the target of those attitudes. It's sexist to use accusing an innocent man of sexism as a crutch with which to try to prop up a boring woman's sagging reputation. It's also sexist to use allegations of sexism as a shaming tool to try to coerce the public into supporting a woman who can't win their support on her own merits. We're told that women are equal to men in every way, just as capable of anything, and therefore, their candidacy for any public office is just as legitimate as that of a man. Fine. Great. That means women must be capable of equal accountability, right? So female candidates can handle being just as subject to criticism, questioning, mudslinging, mayhem, and meritocracy as male candidates are. It means, because I'm a woman, cannot be given as a reason why a candidate deserves anyone's vote, why she is exempt from questions of ethics or challenges to her policy decisions, or why she has any right to any expectation of special treatment. If being a woman means being above criticism and beyond censure, then we are not ready for a woman to hold an office with the command and influence associated with the President of the United States, an office the holder of which unilaterally occupies an entire branch of the U.S. government. This is not because we are a nation that is sexist against women, but because of the vulnerability to corruption that the phenomenon feminists call benevolent sexism would create under that circumstance. The reason the U.S. Constitution protects the citizen's right to criticize government officials is that we, the people, are the fourth corner of our nation's system of checks and balances. Our right and responsibility to judge our national leaders for character, judge their ideas, and judge their actions in office is what keeps this country from becoming a cesspool of despotism, desperation, and hopelessness. We cannot afford to have a president who can use "because of my demographic" as a shield against the checks and balances that prevent government tyranny. Real feminists, if there are any out there, should agree with me on this, since the movement they espouse has repeatedly criticized benevolent sexism as a problem for both sexes. The question is, will they? Or will they be hypocritically willing to exploit it when they think it's going to give female political candidates a competitive advantage over their male counterparts? Tune in to HBR Talk as we examine one of the most widespread types of false allegation, charges of sexism, and how they are used to shut down men's complaints and shield women, especially feminist women, against equal accountability. HBR Talk streams on multiple platforms. You can tune in Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern via the link in the low bar, or find other viewing and listening options for that time or later on BadgerFeed.com.